How do you know when you're disconnected from your business purpose? Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm really glad that you've made the time. I'm Susie Sanders, founder of Alchemy Virtual Assistant and your ever curious host. And we've got a returning guest here today. And it feels like a bit of a full circle moment here for me because Kim Hughes is here. And Kim was our very first podcast guest well over a year ago now. And still to this day, she's one of our top listened to episodes. So I have been asking Kim very kindly if she'd come back and explore another conversation with me. So before I introduce her, thank you, because your energy, time and focus is precious. And you're giving a little bit of that to me today. And I'm very grateful. So thank you for being here. We're going to crack into another purposeful entrepreneurial story. Kim, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Did you know you were one of our most popular guests?
Only because you said, which I can't believe. Like, honestly, I was like, really? You're totally having me on. I still think you are having me on, but yeah, apparently, which is very nice.
Genuinely not having you on, Kim.
I can't believe anyone would be even remotely interested in anything I've got to say, but yeah, no, lovely.
Well, it's good to have you back. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Kim, do you want to tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so Goldin's Communications, we're a PR and reputation management company. We are based in Northamptonshire, but we work all over the country. And we ultimately showcase and champion what organisations do best. So that might be through gaining media coverage, winning awards, and helping them ultimately tell their great stories. And we love to work the most with organisations that are making a social or environmental impact, because they've always got something brilliant to say.
Amazing. And I know firsthand how talented you and the team are and how passionate you are as well. And before we dive into the big topic, what's one thing that you wish people knew about PR? Because I get the sense your industry is quite misunderstood, right? Is that fair to say?
It is, which is really ironic because it's an industry around reputation management, but actually PR does have a bad rep. And I think when I set up the business, or shortly after I set up the business, when I was starting to really look into our values and what we were all about and our why and all the great stuff that we're going to talk about today, credible PR was the thing that really come to light the most for me and for us as a team. And it's the thing that we live and breathe by now, because I think people do think PR is all about spin, it's about untruth, and actually it's not that. It's about championing what organizations do best. That's our mission, and that's what we're all about. So I think it is credible PR. It's about truthfulness, it's about authenticity, and telling real stories in a real meaningful way. So yeah, credibility, really. I think that's people misunderstand PR for being untruthful, and it's not.
Oh, thank you, Kim. And you're a good few years into your business now, and you mentioned some kind of key things there for me, values and mission. But for you personally, as a business owner, as a manager, as a parent, as all the other hats that I know that you wear and we all do in different guises, how do you know when you're disconnected from your purpose?
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot, really, recently. And I think there's lots of different signs. There's not just one sign. So for me, I think people, or most people, do start to feel a little bit disconnected, because there's this gut instinct. So there's just something in their gut that's telling them, actually, something's a little bit off here. I don't feel quite right. And you might not necessarily know what that is, but there's just something. So for me, like, you might have lost the passion, you might have lost your excitement for the business. You've lost that connection with your why and the values that I was talking about earlier. And gosh, it happens to me. You really have to revisit those things to understand, okay, actually, this is why I'm kind of coming a little bit disconnected. And also, I think for me, tasks that used to excite you, used to boost you, they start to drain you. So that's another key sign. And the biggest thing for me is that feeling of overwhelm. that's when I know, okay, something's not right here. I must be disconnected with my purpose here, because I'm just feeling so overwhelmed. And, as we know, as business owners, there's lots of swings and roundabouts and ups and downs. Gosh, many, many, many. But when it's a constant feeling of that overwhelm, I think that's a key sign.
Oh, you're so right, Kim. And I love that, because I think what I'm hearing is that it's a feeling. When you're disconnected, it's an instinct or it's a feeling. And then
Mm,
there's all these little symptoms that start popping up, or signs, as you just said there. And it's really hard when you're feeling those things to stop. And it takes a lot of courage and self-awareness to stop and go, okay, well, what is this, what is going on here? Because I know, I mean, gosh, overwhelm, that's a tricky yet familiar beast, isn't it? But when you're in that place, it's sometimes hard to kind of course correct. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, completely, completely. And I think I've done quite a lot of work recently around trying to catch myself and get out of that, and and force my. We were talking, weren't we, before we came on here, around we both had recent breaks and went away, and that was great. So really taking the time to properly switch off and then sit with that feeling and understand, okay, what's really going on here? Why am I feeling so overwhelmed? It is is important.
It is, and and we were talking about this as well, because I think sometimes, I mean, firstly, I think it's safe to recognize that it is hard to take time out, and it's hard sometimes. I know I had a week off recently, and I never switch off, but being able to switch off
Mm,
by accident almost, I just got swept up in it. But actually taking that space, however long it is, however short it is, but having that space,
mm,
that's what allows you to realize the world still turns, nothing horrendous happened usually, and just being able to sit with things a little bit more. And it's not always possible to take a 3 week silent retreat somewhere, or whatever the extreme is, but I've been trying to do this myself, finding those little micro moments where
yes.
you can just breathe and be. But I mean, I'm guessing, I'm glad you had a good break. But what were some of the things that you learned from having that time off?
Um, Connection with family. I mean, do you know what? At the beginning of the year, when I was thinking about what do I really want to get from 2025, and one of my goals, aside from things with the business and all of that, it is just to be more present. And that is literally my goal, to be more present. So actually putting the phone away. Oh my God, like I'm saying this like I've got it all down. I really haven't. I really haven't. But I really make a real conscious effort to check myself. No, put your phone away, or stop looking at your phone. Be present, be more in the moment, go for that walk with the kids, or with the husband, or on your own, even, like take those micro moments, like exactly what you said. It doesn't have to be a holiday. It just needs little bits in the day. Sit and have a cup of tea, and try and switch off and be present. So yeah, being present is one of my goals for this year.
Such a great goal. And I saw you then when you were saying, like, oh, I haven't got it all figured out, or whatever. Who has, Kim? Show me someone that has.
I'd love to meet someone who has.
what
What is the answer?
But what an amazing goal. And how are you finding that? Are you being gentle with yourself? Because it's an amazing goal, but it's a hard thing. You know,
Yeah, it is. I'm being gentle with myself, but I'm also, well, I'm just, yeah, it just going back to, I keep saying, like, just to keep checking it, just to be mindful and say, no, I'm not fit. Something's feeling off. I'm feeling off. Like, take a just get away from the computer. So my instinct actually is to usually, when I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed, I'll sit at my computer and just think, well, that's what I need to do, because at least then I'm being productive. And actually I'm being the complete opposite to productive. So it's I have to really force myself to step away, and be in the moment. And it might be sitting down and watching a film as well. There's all sorts of ways that we can switch off. A big thing for me, exercise is huge for me. So I'll go for a run, go for a walk, or do like an actual session, weight session, which makes you feel accomplished and in control. So I think it's important to kind of have those types of things, whatever that might be, for you, that makes you feel like accomplished and in control. Someone said to me, a great thing when you're feeling overwhelmed is to like go and mow the lawn, or go and organize your wardrobe or stuff like that, because at least then it's like a little mini project and you've got it done and you feel, okay, I'm safe now, I've got that thing done, I can
Yeah.
revisit that thing that was used to make me stressed.
Oh, I can really resonate with what you're saying there, because I've been doing a lot of work on trying to kind of reframe productivity, because I'm the same as you. If I'm feeling a little bit out of kilter or a little bit overwhelmed, I'm like, I've got to do something. I've got to do something. And actually, I've noticed when I'm doing that, that's not always, it's not my best work, or I'm not putting my pure best energy to it. And actually, sometimes rest or pause or space or exercise, that's the most productive thing you can do, because you're just giving yourself that. And it's interesting, because I find this is one of the joyful things about being your own boss and running your own business, is that you have the flexibility to go for a run when you need to, or in the middle of the day, or but we don't always, maybe this is just my experience, but we don't always take those opportunities, do we sit
No.
and we keep working because that's what we feel we should do,
Yeah.
whereas actually that run, or I'm a big fan of an afternoon bath. I must admit
I
that.
know, you've told me that before, and I love that. So I've actually started doing that as well. Maybe not. I haven't done an afternoon bath yet. Maybe that's something I need to do, or even a morning bath. Who knows? But having a bath of an evening, even like it does, whatever your thing is, isn't it? It makes you really helps you switch off.
Just that reset, and I think I'm a water baby anyway, but I love an afternoon bath in the sunshine, when it just feels very luxurious to me. But equally, you're in the bath, I'm not taking my phone, I'm not contactable, I'm just like, that for me is like a little like moment of presence and
Yeah,
pause, because I think we've
yeah.
kind of forgotten how to slow down, haven't we?
We totally have. We totally have. And I don't know about you. I mean, you're a bit younger than me even, but I like look back in the olden days, and I think when I was little, and I think, God, there was no technology, and it was. I mean, I'm making it sound like that was all perfect
The
time.
olden days,
The
Kim, come
olden
on, you're
days.
not that old.
I know, I'm joking when I say the olden days, but like back in the day, and I've forgotten my train of thought then. But I look back and I think, oh, it was easier to be present. It felt like it was easier to be present, and so I've got to really think about that and force myself to be, like I
It's
was back then.
interesting, because we didn't know any different then, did we? I
No.
mean, I'm going to say we, as in you and I, we're the last generation that knew childhood before social media, before like think at the pace in which technology is evolving now. I thought, I was having a conversation with someone recently about this. When I was at school, it was, careers advice. Like, if I would have gone to a careers advisor and said, I want to run a virtual assistant business, I want to do it this way, they would have like had me sectioned, because it just wouldn't have been possible.
No.
Whereas
No.
now, and I think that about my children. Sometimes I think, oh gosh, I wonder what they're going to do, or what they're going to be, or what opportunities are going to be available to them. Based on how fast technology is evolving. And isn't it funny? I'm going off on a few tangents here. I'm going to come back. Social media and tech comes up in every single episode we have. When we're talking
Really.
about purpose and entrepreneurship and challenges and impact and all these incredible things, technology and social media in particular has come up. I mean, challenge me, anyone listening, if I'm wrong, but every conversation I've had, it's come up.
I bet it has, because I think that's the disconnect, isn't it? Like, that's the thing that makes you feel disconnected from not just your business, but from like life. And like, I'm not surprised, actually. I'm sad. I feel sad that it comes up all the time, but yeah, I'm not surprised.
You've it kind of cracked open something key there for me, Kim. The very tool that's supposed to connect us is the disconnection, right? And I'm like, comparisons coming up for me as well, because who doesn't do a doom scroll, when you're looking at LinkedIn and it's like, oh look, they're doing great, they're doing great, they're doing great, they're doing great.
Yeah.
Which, when we are feeling a little bit disconnected or a little bit overwhelmed, that's really damaging.
It just fuels it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then you're stuck in this spiral. I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know what the answer is, but or I do know what the answer. We all know what the answer is. It's time to try and stop it. But I also think it's gonna. I hope. I can't remember if we were talking about this another time as well, but it will almost come full circle. I feel like there are youngsters now today. God, I sound like really old, don't I? But my kids and their friends, they're starting to step away a little bit. There are some Dylan, my eldest Dylan, some of his friends are refusing to have like Snapchat or WhatsApp, and like they just wanting to come away and break away from it, which I think is really brave. And I'm not saying it will go down that route, because and I'm not suggesting we should either, but I feel like maybe they've got an idea of more of a balance, I hope. And I feel like it might come full circle again, and actually more people will step away from social platforms. I don't know.
Kim, I think we probably have had this conversation, but in a very recent episode with Martin Crook, I was expressing this because this is my wild hope that my children are a little bit younger than yours, but we're not yet entering the phase of them being that connected, and I'm holding off. And that's my wild hope that the generations to follow will have more boundaries, more awareness, more courage to be able to disconnect. And I'm going to bring this back from a business perspective. What's your take? Because if our wild hope grows into a seed, and the younger generation, and in turn maybe we're learning from them and we're disconnecting from social media a little bit more, and WhatsApp and all these things, what's the impact there from a business perspective, from your business perspective, especially that you're in communications as well?
Yeah, well, I think communications will communicate, won't we? Like there's always it just evolves, and it'll either go back to more face-to-face stuff, or go again, more tech stuff, whatever. Certainly from a PR perspective, I think the way that we communicate, there is still a need for organizations and companies like ours just to guide people, to make sure that that the storytelling's on point and their messaging's on point and all of that. So I feel like it will just almost evolve, but so it almost, I hope, it doesn't matter if it's online or in person, like the principles are still the same, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But I do think that we're craving more. So I've been to a few expos recently, and that's the face-to-face stuff, and I love face-to-face networking, and there's an absolute, we're talking online, there's a place for it all. I just feel like we've perhaps lost a little bit of that balance. So it's not necessarily saying we should go down one route and the other, but yeah, getting kind of a bit more of a balance would be my ideal.
Oh, I agree. And I mean, you can't replace face to face, can you? Just thinking of like networking and expos and stuff. There's, I think, I hope that human connection is going to, the importance of that, as you said there, people are craving it. I hope that strengthens, and that people are getting out in person a little bit more. And yeah, it's another beautiful personal balance, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And also I think from a PR perspective, when people, the stories that we share, those human interest stories, the ones that are about, obviously about the humans, but about, when I say human interest, about people's hopes, people's challenges, people's successes, those are the things that we all want to properly read about or listen to or watch. So yeah, the human side of storytelling's key as well. So yeah, I don't know if any of that made any sense. I
Of
answered
course it did.
that question, but
Of course it
went
did.
off on a tangent, I think.
I know, and I should probably put a disclaimer at the start of this episode because, well, I love a tangent. I know you love a tangent, and that's what I love about these conversations and this podcast is that I never know really where we're going to go with it. And purpose is a big topic, but actually it's a little topic as well. Like one of the things you said earlier on about, the tasks that you do, if they're feeling harder or you're procrastinating more, purpose can be there in that moment as well, right? What's the point? What's the purpose? It doesn't have to be this big all-encompassing thing. Here I am going off on another tangent, but sometimes it can be that presence of what's the point of this particular one task. It doesn't have to be this big overwhelming thing, does it? Or am I just going off piste, Kim?
No, completely. I think it's checking in again, isn't it? It's checking yourself. It's okay. I've been here before. I've noticed these feelings before, and actually, what's really going on here? And yeah, taking a step away and really trying to think long and hard about what's really delving a bit deeper, digging into that.
The power that there is in that, in reflection. And how do you pause? How do you stop yourself? How do you catch yourself? Like, because that's can be a tricky thing to master. Again, who's mastered it? Show me them, because I don't think it's achievable in that sense. But how are some of the ways that you like to catch yourself?
Someone said to me, and I can't remember who it was, and I can't remember what even the problem that I had at the time that I was talking about. But they said, no one died. Like no, what have you been here before? Actually, that was it. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Have you been here before? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, I have overcome challenges similar to this. And they were like, yeah, and what happened? And I think it was me actually that said, well, no one died. It was all fine. So they were like, yeah, exactly. So it's your inner child is just getting really scared and trying to keep you safe. And actually, you just need, as the adult, need to tell them it's okay. Like, you've been here before. It'll be fine. Like, it might be hard and it'll feel really hard, but actually you'll be okay and you'll come out the other side. So that's when I say, like, catch myself. That's the kind of things that I'm like, okay, this feeling that I've got, I've had this before and it was okay last time and I actually overcome it. And so trusting yourself, having that confidence to trust yourself. But oh my God, like in the last, so I set up the business in 2021. So I've actually, it's coming up to 4 years now. Or it's just past 4 years actually. So 4 years, I think I've learned more about myself in these last 4 years than I had done prior to that. So I'm much better at catching myself and really digging deep into these things. But it's took a lot of time, a long time.
Oh, sorry. There's so much goodness there. And I wholeheartedly, I mean, my Alchemy Virtual Assistants is 9 this year, and I've learned more about myself in that time than I did my entire year. Like every year I've said that I've learned so much about myself. And I think, the whole journey into entrepreneurship, you're so vulnerable to who you are as a human being. And I think, I've never been in an employed job where I've had that opportunity to be vulnerable, to grow, to build, to, that autonomy, the responsibility, all of those things. And what a great question. Like, have I been here before? Or when have you been here before, to kind of check in with yourself. And it's that perspective, it's giving yourself that perspective, isn't it? One of the things I've been playing with recently is, I'm going to try and find the words, but it's not a new concept, but that kind of is it going to matter in 10 years, or is it going to matter in
Yes.
that? So I've been playing with that type of kind of self-questioning to give myself some perspective, because I know when I'm stressed or I'm overwhelmed or I'm struggling with something, I tend to go really, really narrow, which I
Yeah.
think is a very common human condition. And then you lose that perspective. So I've been trying to kind of pan out a little bit, and go, well, okay, well, in 6 months, am I going to be worrying about this? What's the impact in 6 months if I don't, and then kind of
Yeah.
self-coaching a little bit around what that thing is. But for the key thing there that I think you've shared, it is giving yourself that perspective,
Yeah, completely.
which we need to give ourselves the mental and practical physical space to be able to do that, right?
Yeah, completely. Because there's nowhere to hide when you're running a business. Like, it is you, down to you. And so, you've got to look after yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You're
And
so right.
yeah, I think it's so easy to actually, we talked about flexibility earlier, and like, it is flexible how running a business. You can, but often that doesn't mean you do, like you were saying. So like, there's been times when I've been like, oh, this is really hard, like maybe I should go back to employment, and that's the answer. But and because then I'll at least get some holiday, because I like don't feel like we were talking about me having gone away, and I did have a break, but it doesn't happen always, and sometimes you'll be on holiday and things happen and you have to pick it up. So there's that flexibility, but also there is nowhere to hide, for sure. And you do feel like everything's on you. So these are all little techniques, aren't they, and tips and things that we've learned along the way to properly take that break.
Yeah, and
God.
it comes back to presence for me
Mm,
again, because stuff that's worked before might not work this time round. The circumstances are different, your feelings are different. There's so many variables, isn't there? But actually, if you're really present and in tune with your needs as a business
mm,
owner, and you're looking after them, then that's helping you move forward, and that's helping you be at your best for other people. And it's I referred to this as the bamboo effect in my first book, because it's great having the flexibility, but if you haven't got the strength to be able to maintain that, whether that be physical strength and mental strength to maintain and really work with that flexibility, then you'll
yeah,
break.
yeah, completely. It's hard, but it still doesn't come naturally, does it? Like, you've learned that. You said, over the 9 years, you've learned more about yourself. So you have to put the work in. But it then just becomes easier, doesn't it? So now it is much easier for me to say, okay, I have been here before and it was fine last time, and so it's going to be fine again. But yeah, still not easy.
I'm going to challenge you there, because I agree it's still not easy. I don't think it gets easier. I think we get better.
Yeah, perhaps that's it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We just get better. We
We've
get
just
better at reading the signs, and being more in tune with ourselves, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that classic. I mean, I feel like, firstly, I don't know how it's been 9 years ago that I started out on my own. I really don't know how that's even possible. But um, the more I learn, the more I know that I don't know as well. Like, there's a
Mm,
lot of that. I think the more you do this work, the more personal development you do, the more you experience through your business, the more impact you make, the
mm,
more I think I've still got so much to learn. And I love that. I mean, that's one of our core values at Alchemy Virtual Assistants, is that lifelong learning, always growing. Because I don't think you ever arrive. Same with purpose, the same with
yeah,
presence, the same with all this kind of self-mastery type stuff we're talking about. Do you ever arrive and go, great,
that's it.
back,
No,
sorted?
I hope
There's,
not, because
I
then
hope not.
what is the purpose? What's the point if that happens? Yeah, no, you've got to keep growing. I mean, life
Mm.
would be boring if we all knew it all, wouldn't it? You've got to keep growing. I love learning. Learning for me is a big. Have you ever done like the personality profile? You will have definitely done personality profiles, I'm sure.
Done a few, Kim. Yeah.
I bet you've done a few. And I love them. I find it fascinating, all of that. But learning is a big thing for me when I do those. Like the learning comes out at kind of top, because I do thrive when I'm
Mm.
learning stuff, in whatever capacity that might be.
Yeah, I love one of the things that I've done a lot of personality profiling and assessments and stuff over the years, and I've realized for me I need to like it's a need, a craving to understand and to be understood, and that's something that kicked up from one of the online tools that I used ages ago. A wonderful chap called Nick Haynes, and I'll pop the link in because he's a remarkable guy. I think I should. I think I
Yes, you
should.
did. Now you're just saying that because I was like, no, that was mine. That was my personality.
We realised we
We
were
were the
really
same. Oh,
similar. Yes,
you
yes,
did share that with
and
me.
that kind of, so his stance, like there's a few kind of big themes for different profiles and different things, and for me it was absolutely summarized beautifully with the need to be understood and the need to understand. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's me, and I know that's
yeah,
you, and I think learning is a huge part of that, because it's learning the strategy, the theory, the behaviors, the feelings, that it's everything, isn't it? And I know I'm going to ask you one last question, if I may, Kim. I learn through doing. I'm a kinesthetic learner.
yeah,
You sit me in a classroom, talk at me, none of it's going in. Let me out there. Let me
yeah.
do it. Are you like, how do you learn best?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. I say, oh, let me just have a play. Like, I just need to have a play with it, and then, then I'll be fine. No, definitely, definitely. I visual as well, like visual learning. So I'll watch them. In fact, a previous life, I trained to be a fitness instructor, teaching like classroom teach not classroom instructing body combat, body pump. I've talked about this before, but that I had to learn through actually physically doing it on my own, and watching the videos and listening to the music. But it was mostly that, the practical learning, definitely. The doing, the having a play, just having a play, see what happens.
Yes, and I love that phrase of having a play as well. Like very joyful and light, kind of fun, right? Having some
Mm.
joy in having a play and figuring it out. And I'm really curious as to what the entrepreneurial sphere looks like for business owners. I would guess a lot of business owners probably have that approach as well, in the sense of like figuring it out and wanting to learn.
Mm.
Curious.
They
Well,
probably don't even know it, though. They probably haven't even necessarily realised that that's what it is. It's that,
mm,
that curiosity, that need for growth and
mm,
learning and all of that stuff, really. It's, what probably makes you an entrepreneur.
I would agree. And Kim, I'm gonna have to pause us, because I know I could sit here
We'll have to do it
chatting
again.
with you all day. And this is the second episode you've come on, and you're always so gracious with your wisdom and your insights, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening and for being present and watching, if you are. This has been the Alchemy of Alignment, another episode. If something has resonated with you, let us know. And we're also starting to open to your questions as well. So if you email hello@alchemyva.co.uk, any questions you've got broadly around purpose or entrepreneurship, or if you've got any questions for our guests, I will be recording an episode with an Alchemy virtual assistant franchise partner very soon, revealing the inner workings of how they run their virtual assistant business. Drop us a note. Let us know what's landed with you today. And Kim, thank you again for being here. And I will catch up with you soon. However the day unfolds for you, I hope it is a joyful and peaceful one.